Here we are with another episode of the High Ground powered by Premier Companies. Sal, how's it going?
Doing great.
Good.
Wonderful day.
Good. Hey, we have a couple guests in-house with us, Premier employees, Ben Hoene and Evan. Evan, it's your first time here, so we're going to let you do a formal introduction of yourself and then tell us a little bit about what you do.
Perfect. Well, Sal, Ryan, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate that. I've been listening to the podcast and like what you guys do. So, my name is Evan Speaker. I work in the fuel side of things as a fuel supply analyst. I'm mainly working on fuel supply, pricing, that sort of thing. Been with, counting my, before the merger with White River, with White River before, but 2 years with the company, before which I was a commodity broker at StoneX for a couple years, right out of Purdue, mainly helping consumers with fuel price risk management. Did a little bit of grain hedging and, a lot of other things, but mainly focused on the fuel markets and helping people manage their price risk. So I grew up about 20 minutes from here, between Jonesville and White Creek on a small hog farm. And now I live with my wife, my wonderful wife, about 3 years.
At least it's not somebody else's. That's what I was thinking.
In Hope, Indiana. So, yeah.
It's probably gonna,
my wife
probably be like this for the next 20 minutes. Evan, just get used to it. So, in your job that you just laid out for us, what all do you do? I mean, what does that consist of in a day as a fuel analyst?
So, a lot of my day-to-day activities revolve around fuel price, internal costs to our facilities and our retail stations, costs to our customers, compiling that information, sending quotes out to customers, what does the future look like for fuel markets, helping provide a price for booking or contracting for our customers, as well as tracking loads. We're a big company. We've been growing quite a bit here in the last couple of years, and every load that gets either from the terminal to our customer or to our facility, it has to be tracked. So part of my job is tracking those loads, making sure that every gallon gets accounted for, all the prices, both we get charged and what we charge customers are right, and make sure everything gets to where it needs to be and no one goes dry.
Well, let's back up and unwind that just a little bit. So you talk about pricing, and obviously pricing is volatile and it moves on its own. But how many places are you pricing for Premier? Where are these terminals that you refer to? How many do we deal with in a day?
I mean, we price probably a couple dozen terminals between Indy and Knoxville now.
Knoxville,
Tennessee. Yep. And I mean, we price and pull product from. Now it's 5 states with the Kentucky and Tennessee stuff, and the bulk of that coming out of a handful of terminals, but can change day to day based off of what the price spreads are and freight spreads, what comes back to the customer or to us, the best number. There's a lot of moving pieces. I don't daily work with the dispatch, but I'm a backup for dispatch, and it's quite a feat to make sure everything gets to where it needs to go from where it should come from, and make sure that's accounted for.
We always wondered who did all the work at Premier Companies and in the energy department. So it's not only our fuel.
So Evan, who is it?
Stop.
No comment.
So it's not only the fuel we use. I mean, it's also not only our customers' fuel, but the fuel we use also.
Yep.
And that's a considerable amount, probably.
Yeah. Ben can correct me if I'm wrong here, but on average, we're pulling a little under 3 million gallons a week of product going to both our facilities and our retail stations and to our customers. Like I said, from Indy down to Knoxville.
What's some of the things you watch for? I mean, and these are the retail locations, not the retail, the C stores, our convenience stores. Those are included in that too.
Yeah. That's when I say retail, I really mean convenience stores and
Okay.
gas stations. We've got bulk fuel facilities, so we have tank wagons or squirt trucks that product comes into those bulk storage, and they load out there and take it to our smaller customers that have 300 gallon to a couple 1,000-gallon tanks, and then we've got direct transport business that's 7,500 gallon to 8,500 gallon semis, and to customers, and that's what basically you see on the roads when you see big semis. That's how much fuel's moving in one of those trucks.
So are you updating the prices almost daily then out of all these 24 terminals or facilities that we're pulling out of?
Yeah, it's not it's kind of a tedious process, but a lot of those prices come in daily between.
He acts like he wants a raise. Tedious.
I tell you,
Spell that.
there's been a couple trigger words here.
You gotta. They come in between 5:30 and
Work and
7 p.m. So a lot of that price collection comes of an evening. So we kind of rotate within our team who's doing that of an evening. But that's when we take in all these prices. They're published by our vendors and suppliers. We publish those. We collect them, and then we send them quotes out to customers. We keep track of what those price spreads are for our individual use, for to our stations and our facilities. So
I do want to clarify that 95% of all the Indiana fuel is Country Mark. So we are, if it's a branded truck or something, that we are Country Mark fuel there.
In Indiana.
In Indiana. We have a lot of different suppliers as you go farther south, and we do have more in Indiana if somebody's wanting an unbranded product. But Country Mark fuel
provides majority of our Indiana and Ohio product.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep. No, that's good.
We've
Forgot
had
about
Country Mark on here before, and
Yep.
that all comes out of the Illinois Basin type
Yep.
area.
Mount Vernon.
Yeah, the refineries in Mount Vernon, and they've got their own pipeline. We pull majority of our product out of Switz City and Jolietteville terminals that they own and run. So,
Good.
So when we talk about loads, Ben, I'll kick this one to you. You gave an astounding number the other day on how many loads a day that you are working with, and also we've recently kind of became a trucking company when we weren't necessarily a trucking company a year ago. So,
Right.
So give us an idea how many loads you're dealing with in a day and how many trucks you're dealing with.
That varies quite a bit depending on the time of year and what we're doing. But for the most part, we own, I believe, 36 of our own trucks.
Transport.
Yeah.
Semis.
Which is quite a few to even think about just keep them busy. But we still contract out numerous other loads to be hauled throughout Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Tennessee, so on and so forth. But I think our biggest day that I seen and was, I think there was like 170 loads on for one day. That's just an astounding number.
Of fuel.
Of fuel.
Yeah.
Whenever, all you do is look at it, and then you grab the wastebasket and let her go, because it's going to be impossible to cover everything, even though we have so many trucks, and so many different terminals. And Country Mark takes really good care of us and how they do different things, and we know our supply, and that makes that piece really easy. But when you're out there working on that common unbranded pipeline, or you're buying your own position on the pipeline, that changes the game quite a bit, and that's where Evan and them come in on getting that stuff squared away for us.
My gosh, just keeping track of that much volume in a day.
Yeah.
So pitching it out there, and either one of you pick it up and run with it, but you had inventory problems throughout, supply issues throughout the last few months, and a lot of that was focused, I think, more in the South. And kudos to Country Mark for a lot of that inventory here in the state. But we had a lot of problems due to several things. How is that looking now? And you might, what really caused that?
I can take that.
If you want that.
Yeah. When we think about how fuel moves, we think about pipelines quite a bit. But just like grain, a lot of fuel moves on the rivers and barges. And so the issues that we've seen in grain as far as river levels and how that's affect barge movement has also played a big role in getting fuel up into the river system, especially the Ohio Valley. So we had some issues, especially last fall on barge traffic on the Ohio and getting fuel into our southern market. especially focusing on that northern Kentucky market. And then with everything going on with fuel exports, pulling product away from the U.S., you've got a East Coast that's fighting with the world market for more supply. And what happens there is that you had a knock-on effect on the Colonial Pipeline, and a lot of stuff got rerouted to the east that probably would have gotten to our southern and Tennessee areas, and that didn't really help the situation. But that's kind of where a lot of that came out of, and we've seen water levels improve a little bit here, especially with the recent rainfall and precipitation we've had, and a lot of those kind of getting worked through, and especially since seasonally demands come back down.
I wasn't aware that so much fuel came up the river. I thought it was almost all pipe.
No, there's a lot that comes up the river. There's refineries along the Mississippi, like Valero down in Memphis, and that's a main artery to come up and hit us there in the Louisville, Lexington, Cincinnati market. So yeah, it was an interesting supply time there. We talked about 170 some loads, and we turn around and they tell you can have like 5 loads down there for the whole day. You've got to kind of figure out how the whole system works. But that diesel shortage, there was a little bit of a hiccup in the system for a while that I think was Premier covered it up pretty good if you get down to it for what was going on. We thought we had people covered the best we could. Well, there was a lot of people that just ran out. We actually gained some business out of the whole situation, but ultimately there was a slight hiccup in the system for a while there.
Yeah, it tends to exacerbate supply.
There's those big words.
Man, he's bringing it.
I mean, it doesn't help the supply situation, even in the surrounding area too, because we tend to notice a lot more truck traffic at our when you up in Indiana as people moved in because they couldn't get it anywhere else, and I get emails every day from suppliers as far as what's in product, what's out of product, and it was pretty often that 4 a.m. we get emails rolling. Yep, you're out of product for X, Y, and Z at these terminals, and we just like, okay, where do we go next to make everybody happy, get everybody wet? So
kudos to your all's group, because we just didn't. We saw the news and
didn't feel it,
and we didn't feel it locally, and so. And I also know it's from the staff meetings we had with Southern Petroleum, they seemed like they weathered through it very well also. And that Colonial Pipeline, where does it run from and to? So
it runs from the Gulf Coast up along the the south to the eastern seaboard up to New York.
Okay.
And it was hacked. Right,
that was a couple years ago.
Okay.
But yeah,
that was not related to. This was just a supply issue coming out of that pipe at this point in time. Just to clarify for everyone. And pipelines are bad, but that's all I'm going to say about that. Right? I forgot. Yeah, because it doesn't put any strain on the whole system when a pipe goes down. So
not a bit.
What a mess. But no, nice job to you guys for covering that up. So.
One of the other things that we talked about some of the shortages, and we look backwards.
Shortages.
All right.
Sorry, Evan.
I thought we were going there.
One of the other supply issues that we had was DEF last year. So looking backwards and going into 23, what's some of the challenges we think we might be facing that's coming up?
With diesel exhaust fluid?
Yeah.
Right now, it seems to be pretty good. You fertilizer guys tell us. That's a lot of it's pearl urea that gets dissolved into distilled water and whatever process it is to make everything burn.
What
so
drove
much
it
cleaner.
last year? Just looking back a little bit, what caused that?
Most all that was the urea they use comes from Europe. So Europe decided they were taking a couple years off, so they didn't ship too much to us. So we were out there trying to figure it out, and we got through it, and we had a great supply, and we got good partners, so that helps us.
Good deal.
That was good.
Any other things on the what do you worry about in 23, or is it all just fine?
Volatility is going to be the name of the game. To be honest, and we've seen that quite a bit this past year, but I feel like it's going to continue to be something that's on the forefront. Just We've price moves now. I mean, it's not a normal day now where the price doesn't move 20 cents high to low in a day, and from a diesel or gas futures perspective, but even from a basis standpoint, fuel has futures and basis just like corn and soybeans do. Generally speaking, fuel basis doesn't move more than 20, 30 cents, from high to low in the year, and we've seen $2 spreads between the high and low as far as basis this past year. So it's a level of uncertainty and volatility that we have not experienced in the fuel markets.
So if you're a farmer or a commercial business, maybe not in ag, but between the contracts or the booking, explain how some of our customers, some of the offerings that we have for them to be able to secure supply and maybe pricing.
Yeah. So we kind of split up our contracting offering between our two types of customers. We have tank wagon customers, the small truck customers, and then we have direct semi customers. And for our tank wagon customers, we have a booking offering starts at 1,000 gallons minimum for the contract, and basically we have a negotiate time period for those gallons and a price depending on what product it is, and we agree on it, and they sign their contract, and we put that in the system, and then every time that their driver drops off fuel to them, they apply that fuel to their contract, and helps protect them from price risk. And a lot of companies use it to set budgets or input costs, a little peace of mind. But it's a good tool out there for people that are, especially nowadays, people are concerned about fuel prices, and so it tends to be pretty emotional.
Yeah, and it is a tool. Just keep that in mind. It's a tool. It's not necessarily I'm going to hit a home run or this or that. It's a tool in your toolbox just to lock in whatever cost you're trying to fix to know what your profit margin is going to be at the end.
How long does a booking last?
Depends. Right now, we're offering basically through the end of 23, depending on what time of year it is. That kind of determines our availability as far as when we can book that. But we can be flexible as far as the needs of the customer, as far as what that time frame looks like, and that usually dictates price. So, but yeah, that kind of, they basically have the whole window to pull those gallons. And then for our direct customers, we tend to at least contract by the semi load, and it kind of works the same way. They've got a period of time they can pull those gallons at that price, and whenever they get a load, we invoice them at that contract price.
So the direct pricing would be like a 5 or 6 or 7,000 gallon. What's on a truckload?
7,500 gallons for diesel, and then 8,500 gallons for gas. Gas is has a different. It's lighter. It's got a different volume than or density than diesel. So, but yeah, if you're buying a truckload, 7,500 gallons of diesel, and you can contract by the load or more than that. But same type of thing applies. We're kind of flexible depending on what the customer needs, and we can price accordingly.
You all said something there to kind of start us off with that, in that fuel shortage and people are running out, and that's part of our value proposition is just that folks don't see the work. I mean, we're in the same office and down the hall, and I don't get to see everything that you all do to secure supply, and that's one of our value propositions is that a lot of municipalities and school systems, ambulance they come to us for fuel, and that's one of the reasons is the quality, Country Mark quality, and just the reliability of supply.
Yeah, reliability I think is probably the biggest part of it, and quality, I guess. But people know we're gonna supply the product if we say we're gonna get it there.
Yep.
If we run out or we have a problem, there's probably a bigger problem out there than what anybody realizes at that point in time. go ahead and get in your bunker.
Yeah. Come to my house.
Get the Ben's bunker. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we kind of had that same comment with the fertilizer guys in one of their episodes that if we end up having a supply problem, it's pretty bad.
Things have gone wrong.
Pretty bad. So. I don't know if there's anything else you guys like to add. I mean, that's a nice synopsis of kind of what we've been through and what we're looking at coming down the road. It's been pretty explosive growth here. There's no doubt about it. There's a whole lot more to manage on that fuel side than there has been in the past. Same with LP, and we'll probably adjust that down the road as well. But I don't have anything else for them. You guys have anything else?
Nope. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate it. In 2023, we'll see what it brings to us. I mean, whether we go up or down on fuel, and
Or stay the same.
we don't stay the same. Depends what the economy
It's gonna be one of
does.
those.
It's going to be one of them, and that's kind of how we look at it too. Who knows? If we knew, we wouldn't be sitting here with you today. I can tell you that.
Tell a lot of guys that if I knew, I'd be sitting on the beach with a drink with a little umbrella in it.
Somebody else's wife.
No, with your wife.
Oh, with your wife.
Yeah, my wife.
I keep forgetting. No, thank you guys very much for coming. That's another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. And like and subscribe to all our viewers. Thanks.
Thank you.